Nobody would tell you this because they want more views on their videos. There's a lot of people that don't know what type of content to make, and they think that spreading news and these narratives and this BS technical analysis is the answer. And I'm here to tell you that most of you already know how to make 8 figures. Let me say it again. Most of you already know how to make 8 figures. Most of you already know how to make $1 million, $10 million, $50 million. If you're still in this market, you're one of the few. You're like 1%. The other 99% have left the market. They don't know how to make 7, 8 figures. But if you're in this market now, you already have the formula, you already have the plan, and there's no need for me to beat a dead horse at this point. There's no need for me to do that. And this is like hard for me to do because my goal is to try to get as many views as possible, right? That's why we do a YouTube here. But that's not actually my goal. My goal is to be as accurate as possible. And I know the need. I know what you guys need because I have a coaching course and I hate saying the same things over and over again. But the gist is you need the execution. That's what you need. You need to stop consuming so many different sources of information and all of these distractions and misinformation coming from these clickbaity articles. And like, it's just ridiculous. The internet's a powerful tool, but man, double-edged sword. It also has really put people down the black hole. And there's really like, it's mental masturbation. Let's just be real here. Some of this information you can completely avoid. You don't need to consume everything. So I'm going to try to give you guys exactly what you need. You need the execution. You need the follow through. It's the bear market. Don't get distracted. Don't buy in too early. I told you guys this for months. Well, a lot of influencers, not just the big ones, but even the small ones that copy the big ones, because a lot of people miss this, but there's a whole bunch of copycats out there, and a lot of people don't know how to think for themselves. They've been telling you to buy the dip a little bit too early. People are like, oh, Alex, why is everybody saying it's so hard to catch the bottom? I'm going to tell you right now, it's 100 times easier to catch the bottom than it is to sell the top. It's 100 times easier. But they're spreading misinformation for a multitude of reasons, but I think it could be stemmed from the fact that there's some people that need exit liquidity. So, this was pretty obvious we were going to come down 80+% on Bitcoin. It was pretty obvious. I'm going to be honest. It's pretty obvious. Altcoins are going to dive 90%. But why are they telling you to dollar cost average on a 60% decline? We still got like 40 more percent to go. We still got like 35, 40 more percent to go on pretty much every altcoin, but they're telling you to DCA. I don't know. Does that ring a bell? Think about these things, guys. Just think about these things, please. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. Although it might be boring and some of my videos are telling you something you think it's the follow through that matters. It's the execution and the deliberate focus of the simple strategy of buying the bottom. DCA when it gets a little bit scared, like below 16K BTC. I've been saying below 20K. But now that we're here, I'm like, bro, below 16K, below 18K, I'll start entering some dollar cost average positions, and I'm probably not going to buy altcoins. I'll explain why in this video, but this is going to be kind of my 8-figure strategy. What I'm going to be doing to try to make 8 figures in the next cycle. I got close this cycle. I didn't do it, but I made a couple million. But next cycle, my goal is to try to hit $50 to $100 million. And I want to break it down very simply put, very clear too, man. Very clear, not crazy. Man, it's mental masturbation. When they come with all these like ninja tactics and all these metrics that confuse you, it's meant to sound smart so that, you could watch and think that you're learning something, but really it's a whole bunch of distractions. And I don't know how to explain it to you because I'm going against the grain here. This is not the type of quality. This is not the content that gets views, man. It's not. No one cares. They just want to feel smart. That's what most of the information on YouTube is. All right. Now, I did want to follow up on this really quickly because I did make a kind of like a alarming video, emergency video yesterday. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday, talking about, getting your money off centralized exchanges. And I put in the title Binance, Coinbase, and FTX. Now, it's funny because I was wrong. I think the last exchanges to go down were those 3. So if there was like centralized exchanges going down, it would be those 3, the last ones. Those are the cream of the crop. They got the most cash on hand. And if they go down, I mean, bye-bye market. But I was pretty accurate. I said all centralized exchanges. I really put those 3 titles in there for the search term so I could reach as many people as possible. But I meant all centralized exchanges. Get your money off all centralized exchanges. And Voyager suspends all trading, deposits, and withdrawals literally the next day. So I'm trying to help you guys. I'm not going to be able to predict things to head because I'm not God and I don't have a crystal ball to see your future. But I do know how to throw the arrow in a general direction. So I'm trying to explain to you to get your money off centralized exchanges, and Voyager went down. I mean, thank God we saved a couple people. There's a couple people expressing their gratitude on Twitter and stuff like that. But I'm willing to bet like 90% of you just are gonna get wrecked. I'm just gonna be honest. If you don't execute now, if you don't look at this video as an opportunity for you to actually take action, like take action on what I'm saying here, then maybe in the future you'll take action when you lose your money. And I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm just being real. Even like people are still trying to justify, oh, I want to leave my money in a centralized exchange. I mean, that's fine, but like, it's like the only real reason I've ever seen why you should keep your money on a centralized exchange is the order book model. So if you understand DEX trading, there are some websites where you could put an order in on a decentralized exchange, but it's low liquidity. So if you want to use the big liquidity like Uniswap or PancakeSwap, I think PancakeSwap has an order book. I'm not sure. But if you want to use the biggest liquidity, which is Uniswap, there is no order book. So you have to manually buy the bottom, like manually. Like as the bottom comes in, you got to click and buy. And there is no decentralized exchange on Bitcoin that you could put an order book in. So the only justifiable reason of you keeping your money on a centralized exchange is try to catch the bottom perfectly with a limit order, or a stop limit order. That's literally the only reason I would ever justify anyone leaving money on centralized exchanges, and that's fine. But take the allotment, take the amount of money you want to buy the dip with, put it on the centralized exchange, and then take all of it off, everything else off. And if you have like, if 50% of your money is to buy the dip, I mean, you're doing it wrong. That's not what we preach here. We preach a dollar cost average strategy closer to the bottom. Dollar cost averaging works, but don't do it too early and don't do it too big. When you dollar cost average, it's all about increasing the allotment size as it goes down. So the smallest position, the first buy order should be the smallest, and then it gets bigger as you go down. That's how it works. Well, that's at least how I do it. I think it's the correct way to do it. But so there's like literally no reason to justify keeping your money on a centralized exchange unless you're lazy. If you're lazy, then I can't help you with anything. If you haven't noticed, I can't help you with nothing. You're not going to get rich. It's not going to work out for you. If you're lazy and you don't want to figure out Web3 trading, I can't help you. Now, I'm going to make a full Web3 trading tutorial very soon, like pretty much every detail. So you'll have that know-how, and there's no excuses. That'll probably be my next video. But don't be lazy. Figure it out. You can figure it out without me. A lot of you are smart enough to do that, but I will make the tutorial so that you can hear it from my mouth. I get it. Now, KuCoin did have some withdrawal issues. They were requiring like KYC to withdraw. It could be a little bit of FUD. Look, people are just scared right now. So, I think it's good. I think fear is a good motivator. If you're doing it for the right reason. So if I scare you in the future, it's for the right reason. I'm trying to scare you to get your money off a centralized exchange. I mean, I think that's a noble cause for sure, considering the amount of hacks in the past. Look, 3 Arrows Capital files for Chapter 15 bankruptcy. It's the first. They won't be the last. There will be more. BlockFi is striking a credit deal with FTX Exchange. And basically, they're allowing them to purchase for like $250 million. I'm not going to go into the details because they're all irrelevant. It's not your business, and who cares? The gist here is that FTX is buying all these. That's why I think FTX is liquid, and it probably won't go down, because if they have enough money to buy, add these credit lines to all these people, they should be good. But like, again, I still don't justify it. I still have less than 1% of my money on centralized exchanges because you guys know I use Coinbase for my on ramp and off ramp. I use Coinbase. I still not going to justify it. I'm still not going to put my money on there. I'll put a small amount, 1% to buy the Bitcoin dip. It's that simple. Now I left the juicy part of this video for the end here. So it's going to be a pretty interesting video. I'm going to give you guys very, very specific details. So as you can see here, this chart is, I think, in my personal opinion, it revolutionized my trading experience, because looking at the tops, it would have been so easy to call if I just recognized, because look, if you notice, every single top in the past was some type of centralized exchange thing. So it used to be hacks, but maybe that's a little bit too aggressive. Now it's futures launch, exit liquidity, CBOE futures launch, exactly the exact top day in 2017. And then we have, the Bitcoin ETF on this exact top day. Like it's no it's centralized. It's a traditional when traditional finance comes in, man, they will wreck you and take your money, exit liquidity. So looking back, obviously it's easier to understand this. But next cycle, I'm gonna wait for some type of centralized exchange thing. Like towards the end, I'm gonna wait for some type of centralized exchange thing and plan accordingly to take like the majority of my money out. That's how I'm going to be calling the top. Now, if you look towards the bottom, if you notice a couple things at the bottom here, these past two cycles, this cycle and this cycle, we had a Bitcoin fork. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I'm looking for a Bitcoin fork for this bottom. I'm sorry. And there's going to be a couple other things that are probably a little bit more ironclad. But let me just briefly kind of rant a little bit about specifically the Bitcoin halving, right? So if you look into the Federal Reserve and the history of money, essentially, it's pretty obvious that the big fight was over the issuance of money. So if you look at like the history of like the Roman Empire, as well as many other empires, it's all the same thing. There's nothing new. There's no new information. There's no like, oh man, I didn't know there were scammers. Like everyone in the Federal Reserve knows what they're doing. They all know what they're doing. It's not really a secret. And it's not really groundbreaking news. They know that they're controlling the issuance. What I mean by issuance is how much money they can print and how much money they can stop printing. They control that mechanism. The person that controls that mechanism has all the power, essentially. It's very simple. Create a system that you control the issuance of money and then get as many people to adopt that money as possible. That is the only thing you need to do. If you want to rule the world, that's what you do. You create your own version of money and you get as many people to adopt it as you possibly can. So it's really like a narrative. If you really think about it, it's a narrative. So that's essentially what the Federal Reserve is to the world with the world reserve currency, which is USD. Everything trades in USD. So they can essentially control the world by decreasing and increasing the issuance. So that's basically hawkish and dovish Fed policy. This is why I've been bearish, because we flipped hawkish and they decreased the issuance. So they stopped spending or printing money. They stopped printing money, everything starts coming down, right? So if you really do your research into the Federal Reserve, it's pretty obvious. And it's not a secret. It's like everybody knows it at this point. They're just trying to control themselves. They're trying to control the narrative so that the majority of people don't know. But if you've researched finance for any short period of time, like if you've researched finance for 6 months, 3 months, like and did your due diligence, you know that this is probably the truth. And empires have always, like I said, empires have always tried to control money. So it just happens to be right now the Federal Reserve is controlled. They're controlling the issuance of USD, which is the most liquid coin on planet Earth, and everything trades in USD. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that's the reason why the Bitcoin halving is so effective in the market, right? The Bitcoin halving, the reason why it is so effective, okay, is because it's essentially a mechanism that controls the issuance of Bitcoin automatically, and it's programmed in, and nobody can control it. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to explain to everybody about this big. So it's the only true thing that's not speculation. So the stock to flow model, the linear regression, all these things, that's speculation. That's built on top of this Bitcoin foundational principle, which is nobody controls the issuance of Bitcoin, and the issuance is automatically decreasing. It never increases. So they never increase the issuance. It automatically decreases every 4 years. So this is not speculation. This is essentially Federal Reserve policy. Imagine if the owners of the Federal Reserve only did a hawkish Fed policy every 4 years, and they actually stayed true to their word and they never changed ever. That's essentially what Bitcoin is. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because, again, if you look at the game of money, if you look at the game of the money all over the world, again, let me explain it. It's about narratives, right? It's about how much people can adopt your currency. And then it's about who controls the issuance. Bitcoin is the biggest search term in all of crypto. It goes viral every single time. And we know the issuance. It's automatically programmed in. So the Bitcoin halving is by far the most important metric to measure any price prediction of any cryptocurrency in the entire market. If you want to measure any of your altcoins, which, altcoins have their place. If you want to measure anything, the Bitcoin halving is where you should start. This is the foundational principle of all crypto. And if you've noticed, if we look at this chart here, look, literally every bottom and top is like notice like in the middle, we have the top of the Bitcoin halving. These white lines are the Bitcoin halving. In the middle, this is the weekly chart. In the middle, we have the Bitcoin halving. In the middle, we have the Bitcoin halving. In the middle, we have I'm sorry, not the Bitcoin halving, the Bitcoin top, Bitcoin top, Bitcoin top, right? So it's like pretty consistent. Now, if you look at the time frames too, it's like really consistent. So look at right here, from the Bitcoin halving date to the top, about 364 days. From the Bitcoin halving right here to the top, it's about 525. That's not that consistent, but you can see that it's growing, right? And then if we look from the Bitcoin halving to the top, that's 553 days, right? So that was pretty consistent this cycle. And I don't see it changing that much, to be honest with you. Now, if we look at the bottoms, right? If we go to the exact bottom, right, which is right here, there's the buy point, right? 539 days from the next Bitcoin halving. If we look at the bottom, 511 days. It looks like it's decreasing slightly. So I just kind of played around and I did it for 483. I don't even know if that's going to be accurate. But if you look, we definitely have some time. We're not going to see the bottom till October, November, December of 2022. And I actually watched a video today, and it looks like people are kind of copying what I'm saying. I don't know if they're copying me directly, but they're coming to the same conclusion. So all this can change. The more popular the narrative gets, the more it gets invalidated. Because if you understand how the whales and market makers work, which are the people with the most money, they essentially want to try to trade in a way that takes away all the money from retail or the smaller fish. They're essentially whales trying to eat as much fish as they possibly can. That's what whales mean. So the more this narrative, kind of gets spread, the more people that know about what I'm saying right here, the less effective it's going to become. And if, again, like I always said in all of my videos, if you want the true alpha, like when I actually buy and when I actually sell, and I show orders and I practice what I preach and I give my public address out, which for some reason a lot of people don't do, the fundamental secrets. This is my trading group. This is where like all of this speculation comes into actuality. So in my brain, like obviously, like I'm not going to be able to predict exactly what I do 4 months from now, but I give you guys on YouTube the best picture or perspective in my brain. And then that usually gets refined into something with like an actual action, which the actual action is recorded in Fundamental Secrets. And that's where all of the alpha that I get usually comes from. So if you want to get access to that, there's a pinned comment below. Take advantage. I do want to talk about like these time frames because they've been really consistent. Even though this market's been manipulated, they've still been consistent. So again, if we can draw the conclusion that the Bitcoin halving is the most significant event in all of crypto, it is. It's not speculation, it's actuality. It actually happens and it's programmed in, and we know this. And it's like kind of like Federal Reserve policy, right? If we know that, right? And the dates are not that off, right? Look at the tops versus the Bitcoin halving. They're not that off, right? They're kind of consistent. And the bottoms are not that off, 500 days, 500 days. We could assume that it's going to get relatively close. And if you look at one last metric, which is the percentage from the bottom to the top, and this is the bottom ahead of time, so not this bottom, but the bottom ahead of time. If you look at the percentage, right? This case, it was 86%. So Bitcoin dropped 86% down. In this case, Bitcoin dropped 83% down, or 84 if you round that up. So we could assume that if there is manipulation in this market, it's probably going to be a 3 to 5%, give or take 3 to 5%. So if that's the case, then I think the minimum we can go down is going to be an 80% drop. An 80% drop is right on that liquidity level right there, which is 12 to 14K BTC. So I'm thinking 12 to 14K, maybe 11, whatever. That's all irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Once Bitcoin gets below 15, I'm going in and I'm buying Bitcoin. Once we get that low, okay, and once the time frames start to play out and we get closer to October, November, once we get 80% October, November, you get the deal. That's when I start jumping in. Now, for the people, who cares? Like the mainstream crypto media, they want to convince people to buy in now for exit liquidity, right? It's like the manipulation is crazy. We were literally watching it 2 days ago. There's like this God candle on the hourly, like this massive, like 4%. They brought Bitcoin up like almost $4,000 on the hourly. And then like I remember Marty, we were eating sushi and Marty was like, "Oh, Alex, look at the God candle. It's crazy. The market's reversing. And then boom, just destroyed it. That's what you call exit liquidity. That's what you call fishing for people that don't understand the market. But the problem is for these market makers and these big people, um, it's becoming harder and harder for them to find exit liquidity because the people in the market are not that stupid. They're all smart. If they stayed this long, they're smart. They understand. Most of them. That's what I've noticed. The narrative is not as easy to trick anymore. That's why my YouTube and my Twitter has been going crazy because these guys have been washed up, have been kind of like saying these watered down things all over and it's BS news. They're kind of getting washed out of the market. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the narrative is definitely a lot smarter. It's harder to trick these people. So the point I'm trying to make is we still have a nice little 35 to 40% down on Bitcoin's price and all altcoins. And if that's the case, then that's a lot. That's not a little, and it's not time to DCA, is what I'm trying to explain. It's not time to DCA. And we can look at moving averages all day. I think people are trying to justify the 200 SMA on different YouTube channels. Guys, look, the technical analysis is great, but man, you get like, it comes to a point where you just have to use common sense. Common sense says that the history doesn't always repeat itself, but it's very close. So give or take 3 to 4% from the top. If we go down 80%, we're coming to 12, 14K BTC. Common sense. Common sense says we see the bottom typically 500 days before the halving. Common sense, right? That's October, November. So we got a couple months. And like I said, this is very simple, and you're going to see people come out with all these justifications and all of these technical analysis models and like justifying the moon and the sun to why Bitcoin's going to bounce. And that's the misinformation. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The follow through, the execution. Don't get caught off guard. Don't let the distractions get a hold of you, right? I will tell, it might be boring, but I'm going to keep it consistent the whole entire time. I'm going to tell you guys what the deal is, the truth, right? It might not get a lot of views, but this is the truth, right? So stay consistent, execute, catch the bottom. I told you. I know people are saying, oh, you can't perfectly catch the bottom. It's too hard. Why aren't they saying that about the top, right? The top is way harder. To sell the top, it's way harder than to catch the bottom. Why? Because in the top, that's when the most noise, that's the most noise and distractions, the most shiny objects, because everybody's making money and the energy's high, right? So that's when the most people are in the market. The bottom, there's no one here. There's no one here. There's a lot less distractions. So it's way easier to catch the bottom than sell the top. Way easier. It's like 100 times easier. So don't let these people, again, spread false information for exit liquidity for their masters, their handlers. This is the beauty of not ever accepting a sponsorship. I have no handler. There's no one that can control me. I do have to control myself to a certain extent. I can't just like expose everybody because they're going to come after me and try to kill me. Not physically, but they try to kill my business or whatever. Or maybe they'll try to kill me. I don't know. That's why I'm strapped up. But I have no handler. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. It's as simple as that. Yeah, so basically, I would get into conspiracy theories and stuff. All right, so basically we're coming down, okay? 35%. Once we get below like 15, that's when I'm not going to get greedy. I'll start buying. And that's where I could probably put some money on centralized exchanges, buy the Bitcoin, get it off. Now, I do want to say, I'm only buying Bitcoin. Let me explain why. If we look at the total okay, so I've looked at a couple of charts to try to predict altcoin season. Like this is what we're looking for. We're looking for altcoin season, right? That's what everybody wants, right? So there's kind of two ways you can look at it. There's like the super hype way. There's one thing I want to justify though before we go into that. So again, we're looking at the total two, which is including all of the market cap of all cryptocurrency divided by BTC. So essentially when this chart goes up, it's kind of signaling an altcoin season against Bitcoin, not against USD, but against Bitcoin. And then when it goes down, Bitcoin's taking over the show. So this is Bitcoin beating altcoins. So, this chart's really good at predicting like these massive percentage increases on altcoins, right? Because everybody's saying, hey, Alex, you're going to buy the dip with altcoins? Is that what you're going to buy? And I'm just like, nah, I'm not going to buy the dip with altcoins. And let me explain why. Now I will, but it won't be like Bitcoin's first. Like what I'm going to do, the official strategy here is I'm going to buy the dip with Bitcoin. As Bitcoin gains momentum, then I'll use that Bitcoin to buy the altcoins. That's my goal here. That's where you can maximize your gains, right? So if we look at this kind of, it's funny because look at this green candlestick here, right? So this is altcoins surging like crazy. This is like a whole bunch of altcoins. That's literally on the same exact day of the Bitcoin halving. So these white lines are the Bitcoin halving. So even altcoins move off the Bitcoin halving. Catching my drift here? It's monetary policy for crypto. Bitcoin halving is monetary policy for crypto. So if you look at the bottom, the exact bottom, let me zoom this out here. The days kind of line up too. So the bottom of altcoin season or the altcoin market was 252 days before the halving. If you come over here, it's about the same, 238 days before the halving. So if you want to get like super risky, This is like the risky play to buy. If you understand trading, you're not supposed to buy the exact bottom. You're supposed to buy when momentum starts increasing. That's the most effective way of doing it. So I'll put larger allotments here and here. That's where I'm more comfortable. But I don't mind. I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna do it. Like I'll get a little crazy over here, and I'll buy a little bit of altcoins around these areas. But I'm gonna put definitely my bigger stacks over here. But like this is like the DeFi boom, all that, right? This is like the ICO bubble right here. So if we look at the Bitcoin halving, it's about 230 to 250 days before, and if we look over here, it's about the same, 231, 238. This for the second. Right, so these are the times to buy altcoins. Now, if we look at the time frames here, kind of similar. The time to buy Bitcoin, like we said, is 500 days before the Bitcoin halving. So boom, you buy Bitcoin here, you let the Bitcoin catch momentum, and then you buy the altcoins 252 days before. You let that ride out, and then you buy it again 250 days after the Bitcoin halving. Roughly, these are all rough estimates. So it looks like maybe this might change in the future because this might get popular. Again, like I said, people copy my content. But again, October, November is probably when I'm going to buy Bitcoin. October, November, December, I buy Bitcoin. I let my Bitcoin ride out. It gains percentages. It gives me a clearer perspective of what altcoins are going to win next cycle. It gives me a really clear perspective, like what altcoins are going to win next cycle, things like that. And then at that point, once I'm like, all right, I know what altcoins to buy, boom, I jump in. Maybe June, July, August of 2023. That's when I jump into altcoins. Boom. Right? Let the altcoins ride out. And then I put larger positions October, November, December 2024. And then we ride that thing up for approximately, I think, a year, usually for the tops to play out. So if we look at altcoin seasons, from this purchase date, it took 329 days. So we have like a nice year of altcoin season. And this is where everybody gets rich, right? This is what we're all looking for. 147. So it might be quicker this time. But yeah, so it's a short period of time. So that I think is probably the most comprehensive breakdown on the internet of what like a really good game strategy is for the bear run to explain it. But it's the execution, guys. That's what I'm saying. This strategy I'm laying out here is fairly simple. Now, I do have this little arrow here pointing to NFT sales because if you look at this, they've always breaking. It looks like it's an uptrend, but in this case, we did have a lower high. So a lot of people are like, oh, Bitcoin's going to take over. It's going to take over. I don't think that's the case. And the reason I say that is because this chart is missing NFT sales. So NFT was a big thing, guys. NFT was everything. As you can see here, around those time frames, May, June, July of 2021. So if you come back over here, that's right here. April, May, June, July, you can see it's trading sideways. So a lot of the liquidity that was supposed to go into altcoins, similar to what we see here, went into NFTs. A lot of that hype and liquidity got captured by NFTs. As you can see, NFT market's like a $41 billion market. So, this alternate, and then you look at the search term, look, we had this first big spike here, but that wasn't a lot of money. But look, May, where is it? October, November. Yeah, it's like right around here, May, June, July. And that's when the big spike. This is the NFT search term. So yeah, I do think altcoins are going to take more liquidity from Bitcoin over a long period of time. I do think it's going to continue that way for sure, just because of innovation and just because of a lot of different variables. So, the opportunity to get rich is still there, definitely. But again, the only thing that's going to keep you from getting rich, guys, or getting 8 figures, which is a strategy for me, is the fact that there's so many shiny objects out there. So I highly recommend. I hate saying this because it's biased, obviously, but lower your sources of information and double down on them and learn to know, learn to understand who has credibility and who doesn't. And if they're paid to say something they shouldn't, learn these things. Where do they make their money? You guys know where I make my money. I make my money off trades. And I make my money off a course, which is basically I have to be accurate. If I'm not accurate, if I'm not good at what I do, people don't renew. And the biggest element to a business is word of mouth and renewals, not marketing. Marketing's like the starting, but word of mouth and renewals is what keeps us alive. So, that's how I get paid. You guys know the deal. So think about these things for sure, because they are very, very important. The gist is just to run it up with you guys one more time so you really understand, okay? October, November is likely when I'm going to buy the bottom of Bitcoin. And the reason why is because of this. It's been pretty consistent with the Bitcoin halvings. That's one by the bottom. November, December, October, November, December of 2022. Then I'm going to catch the momentum of Bitcoin and probably make some money. Probably like maybe 2x, 3x, which is okay. It's not bad. All right. Then around June, July, and this might, again, time frames might always change. I'm just giving you kind of the structure, and then what it looks like for real. You're just gonna have to catch it in Fundamental Secrets because it just doesn't work that way. I can't. There's no way. I'm not putting out these narratives to public anymore, just because they're gonna invalidate and take advantage of me. May, June, July of 2023. That's when altcoins will likely take off. That would be kind of like the first buying point for me. And then usually it does like a little lump and then a big boom. And the big boom, I'm gonna put the largest amounts of money in September, October of 2024. That's the gist there, guys. I think this is, again, like I said, the most specific. Now, again, a lot of stuff is you're not gonna execute, right? It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a lot of distractions. That's a lot of time. People can't even think 24 hours, let alone 4 months. So I suggest you work on yourself. This is a common thing I've known throughout time is like, look, like when you're making money, like it's almost like, how do I explain this? It's like the dilution of the monetary supply. So like when they start pumping more money, everything's diluted and it's like worth less. It's the same thing for your life. When the energy's high, altcoin season's here, and you have all these things to do, then what you're doing becomes less valuable. So like now that the market's quiet, what you do becomes more potent and it pays dividends. So right now, the execution that you do and the habits that you build will pay dividends in the bull run. This is a good example. I didn't really have a good running strategy in the bull run. The reason why running's so effective for me is because it increases endorphins, allows me to breathe, allows me to have a clear mindset throughout. It's like the only time I have clear thoughts because I'm always on my phone or doing something, right? So it's the only time where it's kind of like meditation to me. If I had that running habit in the bull run, I think I would have been probably like 30% more effective at marketing, at trading, et cetera, and I would have made more money. But it's very hard in the bull run to develop those habits because of all the distractions that are happening. I remember I couldn't really do anything. I had to like always hammer out a video or talk to the group. Remember, at one point we had almost 2,000 members in the group and I had 25 employees. You really think I'm going to develop a habit? Well, that's happening. Now we're down to like 8 and less members, right? So, and less subscribers, less views, right? So I used to get like 50,000 views per video. Now I'm getting like 5,000. So think about it. Now I have the time to build these massive habits, right? And this is what I was trying to talk about, the execution. So habits I'm trying to build. I don't want to eat out as much. I'm going to eat out much less. So I'm going to fix my diet. I'm building this running habit for sure. And again, like the way it kind of works is it's like a house. The foundations are you, right? How you move. It's like a front run of a front run of a front run. If you want to get rich, obviously the strategy is to trade and to invest, right? But what's before that? It's like trading and investing, the strategy part, which I kind of explained in this video. Then before that is like, okay, how's your house looking in your family, right? How are you managing your family? And then before that, it's like, how do you manage yourself? So like the foundational part is yourself. That's the foundational part that people miss. So if I can make myself rock solid and I increase my habits and my execution and my energy output, right? Because remember, we only have a certain amount of energy a day. People usually overestimate their willpower. There's only a certain amount, and there's these little tricks you could do to increase your willpower. And one of them is having a clean diet. One of them is working out. One of them is focus. All these things, they increase your willpower. So if I can make a rock solid foundation, I'm talking about the best version of Alex I've ever seen in my life. Now, then that's going to be affected by my family and my 2 daughters and my wife, right? That's going to affect them. And then they're going to make my life easier. And then the next bull run, when the strategy and it comes execution time for me to make videos, to make companies, I'm making multiple companies, guys. I might not even be able to talk about altcoins next cycle because of the companies I'm making on a legal standpoint, right? So next cycle, when all that comes, I'm gonna have a rock solid foundation and it's gonna be more potent. I'm gonna be able to hit that market way harder. This is really important. So a lot of things that I'm preaching right now, especially in Fundamental Secrets and this running challenge, you guys know I'm on day 52. I just ran 2 miles today, day 52. 67. The reason why I picked 67, a lot of people ask me, is because it takes approximately 67 days to make a lifelong habit. They say it's better if you do 180 days, but 67 is kind of like the first threshold to make a lifelong habit. So I'm going to do multiple 67-day challenges. One of them is going to be food. There's going to be a lot of things that like all of the demons, like I told you guys, like people don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear this, but like my goal here is to actually get you success, not like mental masturbation and get your time and energy so I can get like ad revenue. That's not my goal. My goal is to physically force you, like actually force you to success, drag you across the finish line of the bear run. And what I'm doing now is I'm making that foundation so freaking strong so that next cycle, I'm going to be a monster through the bull run. That's what I'm doing. People make the richest people in life, they're not doing these small day trade decisions, guys. They're making these big foundational shifts that take a lot of faith. And the reason why people can think 20 years ahead is because they've been in business for so long. I remember when I first started business, the business models I made were like a week long. Like, can I make money in a week? And I was like, and then as I started doing it and I started failing, I'm like, all right, I gotta make this business model like a month long. All right, and then I made it like a month long, and then I started doing it, and I started failing, and I'm like, all right, no, I'm gonna make a bigger business strategy that's I'm thinking about a year long. And then I started doing it, and then boom, I made my first 100K. And then I was like, oh man, crypto's like, longer. It's like 4-year cycle. I'm gonna make it 4 years long, right? And then boom, I made a couple million. Once I started thinking in 4 years, I made a couple million. And then now I'm like, bruh, let's just skip to the punch. Let's make a 30-year long business. Let's think about what can I do now that if I keep doing it in 30 years, it's gonna pay me. This day-to-day stuff, that's for people that are desperate, that don't have experience, and they're desperate. When they're thinking about how to make money quick, that's what I was doing when I first started business. That's usually how it is. Nobody's gonna tell you this. This is real. The people that could delay gratification for long periods of time and then cash out at the end are the people that win with marketing efforts, with everything, trading, everything. The longer the delayed gratification, the more money you make, the bigger the pot. But the only thing that's going to keep you from that is these short-term day trading things, these day things. Some people even scalp on the 15-minute. That's sad. And I'm not trying to say short-term strategies don't work, because they do. But the delayed gratification gets you much more reward, and this is actually how you get rich. If you want to just pay your bills for the rest of your life, if you want to make minimum money for the rest of your life, then do the short-term stuff. That's you. If you want to hit big and get rich and change and foundationally change things, like for real, like change the world, you need those big haymaker type of business models and mindsets, as well as trading strategies. That's what works. That's what works. Think long term. I'm done with this little 3-4 year. I'm thinking 30 years at this point, 40 years. I'm thinking, what is the business I'm gonna have when I die? And then I'm gonna execute on that business now. That's how you make millions. That's how you make 8 figures. That's how you make 9 figures. That's how you become a billionaire. These guys are thinking way farther ahead than we think. And then the day-to-day, their execution is a higher level than we are. That's why they're billionaires, because their execution is so high and they're thinking so long. So on the day-to-day, if you want to think day-to-day, think about your energy levels and things like this. But your plans, you got to make them long-term, man. You got to make them long-term. This is how you're going to win. Nobody will tell you this, but I will. I will spread the truth as much as I can, even if it's boring, even if it's not cool, and even if people attack me on the internet because I'm spreading too much truth. That is my obligation to you. That is what God put me on this planet to do, and I will continue to do it. This is a God-given mission. It's a God-given mission to spread the truth. Did you guys know that Alexander the Great means defender of man? Or not the great, I always say the great, but Alexander, the word Alexander means defender of man. That is what I was put on this planet to do. I will help as many of you as possible. I will help as many people as possible. Retail, I don't care if you have $10 to your name. I don't care if you're in a third world country. I don't care if you're lower class or middle class. It does not matter. My goal is to spread as much truth as I possibly can to every single human being. And I will come up with the most viral strategies and then condition people. It's basically an ethical bribe, right? It's funny because the most viral things are the things you shouldn't be doing. Like if you look at it, like Lamborghinis and like half naked people and like designer, like that's the most viral, but that's literally the exact opposite of what you should actually be doing. So I will come up with strategies that go viral, and then all those people that follow, I will condition, and it's an ethical bribe into the truth, which is the truth is it's boring. You have to find fulfillment in yourself. Money is not the answer. It's not the answer. Who you are as a person is the answer. It's much more fulfilling to go on a 2-mile run than to make 10 grand at this point for me. I don't care about the 10 grand. I do care about my family. I do care about wealth, love, happiness, all of these things, right? I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just like really the truth. Like money is just a tool. It's a resource. It comes and goes. And a resource that gets allocated to people that deserve it. That's what money is. Some people think money is just something to hoard to gain power over others and to be able to control people. Personally, I think it's just a resource to help people. And No matter, some people are evil about it, some people are not. I think, in my personal opinion, I'm an optimist. I believe in good triumphs over evil. So I think in the long term, maybe not now, maybe not this cycle, maybe not next cycle, but I think 30, 40 years from now, good will triumph over evil. So this business model, I don't want to run a McDonald's. McDonald's is a horrible business model. It kills people. I want to run a clean food organization. And this is how I'm running my YouTube channel, my course, and everything I do. It might be boring now, but at least I'm saving people in an ethical way. That's how I feel. And maybe it's stupid, but that's the only way I can move. I'm not selling. I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night, saying these lies on the internet. I can't sleep at night selling my soul to the devil and, accepting paid sponsorships, knowing I'm wrecking people. I can't sleep at night doing these evil things. I just can't. It doesn't make it worth it. I will quit before I have to do that. That's what a lot of these hackers trying to strong arm me. I will quit. I will delete my YouTube. I will stop right now and just trade in the back end by myself. If I is forced to have to sell out, I'm not going to do it. I will quit. Marty asked me the other day, he's like, are you willing to die for this? And I said, unfortunately, yes, which sucks. But again, I don't know why. This is a God-given thing. This is a God-given mission. And if you want to follow along, definitely subscribe to the channel, like the video. Man, that's a lot. We got a little emotional there, but I got to drop some bombs on you. That's it for this video. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism. Subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Catch you guys in the next video.